Hey, what's up, you guys? So today I want to do a really quick video, and it's more of like a little tip here. So I recently been messing around with Acon Digital's Deverberate. It's basically a plugin designed to take away a source's reverb and to kind of like make things more dry or kind of control the amount of reverb or like echo that you have in a recording. And the way I used this today was actually not in a way to get rid of a reverb, but more of a way to turn down the sustain of a really long-lasting low-end material. So what I have here is a kick drum, and if I bypass it and we click play on this, you'll really hear what I'm talking about. So as you can hear from that, there's a lot of low end, and it's lasting for a long time. And then one problem I had with using something like a transient designer was that when I had it all the way down, all it did was it made the sustain decay faster, but it didn't turn down the initial volume of the sustain. The sustain volume was really loud. And because of that, a transient designer was only detecting it when it finally started topping off, and it would make that top off a little quicker. And I'll actually show you how I figured that out here. Let me grab one of my favorite transient designers right here, and I'll show you what I mean. For the most part, you can hear and you can even see that it is reducing it, but it's doing it by making the decay kind of like decay faster, but it's not bringing down the overall sustain. So what I did here is I actually tuned the Deverberate to actually have mostly just the sustain of the low end, which I'll play for you right now. And then I had just the dry setting right here, which is mostly set up. I did a rough settings because all I was trying to do was kind of turn down the sustain. I wasn't really trying to do anything crazy or surgical. I just wanted the sustain to be brought down in level, not in length. So the way that I did this was basically I told its detector circuit how long the reverb was lasting, and it was lasting a really long time. And then I kind of set the level, and then I used this emphasis filter, which basically is an EQ. And what you do is you turn down whatever you want it to not detect as much, and you turn up, push up whatever you want it to detect longer. And it's obviously detecting these like super subby low end materials. So I just bumped that up by like 10 dB. I also did a little bit of spectral smoothing, which is why you can kind of hear a little bit of the tail. If I turn off spectral smoothing, you can kind of hear it right now. So basically what that did is that kind of like reduced some of the artifacts, made it a little bit kind of like softer, I guess, the way that it detected it. And all I did was I actually just turned down the reverb sustain. So if we play this in the mix with it, or without it first, you can hear that even when the bass is trying to play something, the sustain is really just, it's getting in the way because it's too loud. And even though I cut it in the frequencies, if I cut it too much in those frequencies, it would have kind of drowned out the original initial attack of the actual kick, because the sustain and the attack are in the exact same frequencies. So what I had to do is turn down just the sustain. And by doing so, it sounded a lot cleaner. So I'm going to play this with it and then without it. And then we'll take it out. So hopefully what you can hear from that, and you will need decent headphones or studio monitors for this one, is you should be able to hear that what happened is since I turned down the volume of the sustain, not how long it lasted, just the volume, the bass was able to stand out a little bit more. You got the other kick was able to kind of cut through a little bit better. Without it, you know, I kind of fought it a little bit because it was lasting until the next transient hit. So what this did for me was this allowed me to free up some of the space, so that way I didn't have to actually notch out frequencies, which, because if I did, if you can see from around where I'm actually cutting, if I did that, that would actually be the fundamental of the actual kick. So this is a great way of helping you kind of keep and preserve maybe the initial attack or the sound of something, while reducing any type of like weird sustains that are lasting a little bit too long. And then what you can easily do too is you can easily copy this and make a duplicate, and then you can just have one that's just a dry and one that's just a reverb, and you can actually like do parallel processing. You could treat the subby long lasting low end differently than the initial transient low end hits that you're getting. But the reason why I didn't do that is because that would cause me to have to do more phase alignment stuff, because I noticed that these samples that were sent to me were not exactly in phase. So I had to use my Melda auto align to make it sound like more punchy and make the low end not fight each other. So if you do it in parallel, you will have to keep in mind that it will cause a little bit of phase issues because you're doing EQing and processing to a copy of it something. And then, like because of the shifts that you get from doing stuff like that, you're going to have to either use a linear phase EQ, which can cause pre-ringing, or you're going to have something like this to make sure that it's tight and back in phase. So that's it for today's video. Hope this helped. Let me know if you guys want me to show you guys how I did this exactly. My next video is probably going to be about how I actually use this to kind of keep just the reverb on something, because I actually had to do that in this same session. So see you guys later.